So welcome all of you to this session, and it will be great to see a few of you on camera if you're comfortable. If not, then it's absolutely okay. But it helps to see at least a couple of more faces on the screen. I hope in this world you would know how difficult it is to talk to black boxes. So thank you, Raghavendra, for coming on camera. And the fact is that today we are going to leave this session very open ended. Therefore, it'll be very helpful if all of you come up with your expectations to start with, and how do you want to spend this Sundays 1.5 hours in just having these discussions? What is it that you are here for? So would quickly want to know from all of you. Let's make it more interactive, because otherwise it'll get very boring. You can always go and watch YouTube videos, but then if you're joining here, it'll be good to see you interacting. So my first question to all of you, you can write on the chat or you can unmute and talk. But first question to all of you is, what are you expecting from this session? Since the topic of the session is expectations, would love to know, what are you here to learn?
Obviously about how to manage those expectations.
How to manage those expectations, okay? And Pavan says how to meet the expectations, okay? Others, Pankaj, great to see you. My expectations was others' expectation is what Gavisha says. Awesome, okay?
Hey, hi, Bindu. Sorry. I was like muting and
No
muting.
problems. I've
Yeah,
just on the
yeah.
first
I
question.
just saw that and I thought, wow, this is an amazing topic. For me, I think how to almost bring it to zero. Seriously, I mean, how to have a state of equanimity where you do your stuff, let other do other stuff, and you do not get affected at all. Is what
Then
I really want to achieve, but yeah, I don't know how far it is possible.
then going to Himalayas could be a good option. Because end of the day, the whole societal structure works
Yeah.
on expectations. And I think while we treat expectations as a very negative, in a
Yes.
very negative terminologies,
Yeah.
but I think the whole world works on these expectations. It's just a matter of balancing, it's just a matter of setting the right boundaries for those expectations that we need to learn. Uh, if we are deciding to stay in the societal structure. Otherwise, yeah, there are many people who have attained nirvana using no expectation zone. And that's very few.
Yeah, no, I always
Thank you
get
for bringing
beaten
that.
down for, expectation. I always, hear this view that, you are expecting too much. And that's why I think I've now come to a stage that am I really expecting too much? Or maybe I'm doing so much for few people and then expecting or whatever it is, but I really want to now, don't want to hear that word that I'm expecting anything from anyone.
Explore the topic.
Yeah.
That is a very honest share. And Pankaj, absolutely. I think all of us have heard this phrase in some relationship or the other. Okay. Any other expectations from this session before we begin? Sushma.
I would like to add one expectation here. See, these expectations and the main conflict here is being started from the childhood. See,
Hmm.
don't cry like a girl. And usually parents buy
Hmm.
the cars and guns for the boys and dolls for the girls. So the expectations and the struggle to keep those expectations starts from the childhood. And if the balance is not brought in the childhood, the struggle will carry on for the life. So this section, I would expect to come up with some ideas so that the parents could uh, have some do's and don'ts so that at least the next generation will be having a free mind to start the expectations or managing the expectations.
Wow, that is very, very interesting point. And I think we are going to touch upon that. And let me set the expectations for this next 1.5 hours today. The first expectation is it's 1 hour and the session is filled up with information, but at the same time, it's not going to cover all the aspects, right? Of it. It's a very huge topic. The idea today is to look at expectations from different perspectives and taking back certain tips, tools, some ways to think about expectations. And of course, we are on Positive Lights. I'm hoping that all of you are part of Positive Lights group. If you're not, please write on the chat and we will add you to Positive Lights group. But then we do keep meeting and we can further detail out if we want to discuss further. But today, owing to whatever time we have set, let us begin our conversations and explore expectations. So, my first, then the second question to all of you is, what do you think is expectation? What, according to you, is an expectation?
The response from others based on our need or requirements.
Okay, the response, the expectation of a response from others. Okay, but what is expectation in itself? It's a very tough question, isn't it? So we have been talking about expectations, my expectations from others, or something that we need from others. But actually, in its in its own definition, what expectation really is a strong belief that something will happen or something should happen. Are you with me? Does it make sense? Expectation is a strong belief that something should happen or must be the case. And we all have a proper structure of how things are going to happen or should happen in our brain already. So there is an expectation, which is what do we expect for something to happen? And then comes the reality. So tell me if you are able to see the screen. Happens to all of us.
Yes.
We believe
Yep.
something's going to happen, and then the reality is absolutely different. Our brain is not able to see so many dimensions in one particular aspect, but our life sees it. So we think यहाँ पे start हुए थे, ये plan करेंगे, and things will be here. But then, in reality, this is how it is. Do you all agree? And be it your own expectations, be it the others. So there are, when I was researching on this topic, and I'll maybe when time permits, I'll share with you the story of how I got to stumble upon this topic. I've written a lot about this topic in one of my books in one of the chapters, which is only on managing expectations. So I'm hoping I'm able to cover most of the parts here. But then before I begin now, there are, in my research and personally, when I thought about different perspectives and spoke to hundreds of people about this topic, it came out to be only 4 dimensions of expectations. And I'm going to launch a poll. All of you who have joined, quickly join it. And where would you want to spend more time today on? There are 4 types of expectations: my expectations from myself, my expectation from others' expectations from me, and my expectations from life. So quickly do a poll and tell me which one would you want to discuss more. And we'll I hope that we get a very clear winner so we can spend a lot of time there. Okay. Okay, we have two very, very in the tie of two. So please, someone break the tie. We have 12 people who have responded. We have 19 people on the call. Quickly, let's see. Okay, nobody wants to break the tie. So let's see how much we can cover in both the things, but just give me an idea of what you want to learn. Yeah, so I'm ending the poll now, and let us begin with the first topic. Do you know what's the result? Can you see the result? My expectations from myself and others' expectations from me. So these are the two winners. And let me now quickly move to the topic itself. Yeah. Now, if you're able to see the screen, these are the types of expectations. Tell me if anything other than this comes to your mind. These are the four. Let's simplify this topic for itself. So let us look at my expectations from myself. If you can relate to this picture, how many times have you scolded yourself? How many times you have been critic of yourself? I'm not saying that's a bad thing to happen. If you don't expect anything from your own self, then the world is also not going to have any expectations from you. So gone are the days when we say live on zero expectations, because that's not going to happen in our mortal lives unless we plan to go on a different spiritual path. But if we are planning to stay in the societal structure, like I said before, it is important to understand that it all starts with my expectations from my own self. So here's a little check that you do to yourself. Okay. The check is that how many times, see, in Gita also, it's very, very apparently written in every, I think, chapter that anything in extreme is bad. Even goodness in extreme is bad. And obviously, evil in extreme is bad, but anything you do in extreme is not good for health. Balance is the key. So, therefore, uh, the question that you can ask from yourself is that in a day or in a week, how many times do you scold yourself? How many times are you critical of your own self? So, all of you, if you can give me a little idea on the chat, or maybe you can speak up of, you know, is it low? Is it medium? Or is it high? Your own expectations from your own self basis how much of a self critic you are. Tell me, is it low, medium, or high? What do you think? Just a ballpark. I will not ask for calculations, but just how much, how do you feel? Medium, okay. Others? Isha says, Pankaj says hi, Isha says medium. And now my question to anyone, so I know that all of you are still in the thinking mode, but I'm sure you have the answer in your mind, even if you're not writing. But tell me, where do you think these expectations really come from? What is the source of these expectations? What do you think are the sources of these expectations? And we're talking about the first people who have just come in. We're talking about 4 types of expectations. And the first type that we have pondered upon is my expectations from me. And how do you identify my expectations from me is by reflecting on how critical are you of your own self. And if it is anywhere low or very high, then it's the topic for you to start with, this topic. And the question that I'm asking all of you right now, present question on board is, where do you think all expectations from me, others, whatever, come from? What's the root cause? Any idea? Rija, good to see you.
Hey, hi, Bindu.
Hello. Okay, so yeah, question to everyone. Where do you think these expectations come from? What's the root cause of the expectation itself?
It's like what others think of us, and slowly and steadily we believe that this is how we should behave, or these are my values, or this is how I'm perceived. So you kind of put that pressure on yourself over a period of time.
So others, where do others get the idea? You're right, Pankaj. Where do others get the idea? What do they think of us? Why would they expect something out of us? The root cause of expectation, and in the essence of time, I'm not going to take this too far, but the root cause of expectations is our societal role definitions. Now think about it and tell me if this resonates. How, and people who are answering conditioning or what people expect out of us, it is because every role in the society has been defined, predefined. Do you all agree?
Yep.
So now my invitation to all of you is, I will say a few roles. Okay, you might be playing that, you might not be playing that, but definitely you will be surprised to see how the role definition is defined in our mind already. We might not have consciously thought about it, but think about a role of a mother to start with. Cliched, but let's start with mothers. Yesterday was Women's Day, and I think that's the role we must start with. So Mansi says the expectation is that she is the caregiver. Very good, Mansi. Thank you. Now, others, what's the role definition in your mind of a mother? What should a mother do? And please go with your conditioning. It's absolutely fine because that's the honesty we want in this group. Quickly. So Mansi says caregiver. Availability. She should be available when I need her. She's the caretaker of the entire family in the house. Okay, Pavan, absolutely. She does everything. Yeah, okay, Jagan. Teach values to children, the basics. And whose values? Values could be different for different people. She is the she's to imbibe principles and values along with several others. Yeah. And then my question is, if a mother knows that these are her expectations from her and she is not able to make it, even in one thing, say for example, she had to go to work and was not able to pack lunch for children, what will happen to her mind? I have not I have not fulfilled my expectations. I'm not doing my role properly. Guilt, imposter syndrome. Thank you, everyone. That's the genesis of expectations. The role that society has defined for each. Now, let's not only be biased and talk about women, let's talk about men of the house. So, son, what is the expectation out of a son? And let's say a grown-up son, yeah, a grown-up, well-earning member of the family. He is the son. What is the expectation? Takes up the responsibilities. Others, very good. I'm very glad that most of you are participating. Approachability, take care of parents. Now, again, if the son is married and earning, what are the expectations? Good career, high salary. It's not easy for men as well. Do we all agree? There is no way they can sit idle at home. Idle will be a wrong word, but earning high is a constant pressure. Why not the men in the country be more aggressive? Because they can't afford to lose their jobs, their careers, or not earn anything. They can't afford not to earn anything because that's the societal expectations. Correct? So if a man loses his job, what does he go through? What happens? Low self-confidence, disrespect from the society. I was talking to someone the other day and I'm like, yeah, if you're earning, you're rich, you're well settled and you're smoking, that's fine. You're drinking, that's fine. But the moment you lose your job, you're in that kind of phase where you're not working and then you drink and smoke and see the judgments. Now, the only thing is that emotions run very high when we do not meet the societal expectations, right? Of the role, not specifically of you, but of the role. Now, is the point clear, everyone? Any questions? Anything that you feel? I want to hear the feeling in the room, emotions in the room. Now let's talk about workplaces. The workplaces, the expectation from a leader, expectation from an HR executive, or any role you talk about, we have proper job definitions. We have defined what are the expectations of this role. And I have a great point here, and that is by Mansi saying, how does one draw a line between what others expect versus what you feel because of that? And the only line, and thank you for saying that, how does one draw a line? I'm assuming it's me. The only line I can draw is I can redefine my role. We don't have to stick with the role defined by the society. We can, first of all, convince yourself of the role you are playing. And then inform people around, hey, you know what? Let's sit together and define what the role is. Will I be able to really do that role? And what happens sometimes if I slip? Even in the offices, nobody wants you to be 100% foolproof, mistake proof. Even if you are 90% there on your carriage, you're a high performer. But at home, if out of 20 days you are ordering fruit from outside for 3 days, you are a low performer. We ourselves feel that we are done. So two things. One, are you all able to hear me? Ruchi says she can't.
I can.
Oh, okay. So the so far what we are talking about is that the root cause of any expectation is how that role is defined in my head, right? So for example, as a daughter, my role in my head was that I need to take care of my parents. Very good daughter. Yeah. So I was like, okay, Their health is my responsibility. And I started micromanaging them. At one point in time, to an extent, they were living far away from me earlier. And I was like asking them for every time what they ate. And if, so my mom has diabetes. So if she had anything which is against diabetes, I would just get so hassled as if it is completely my role to manage her life. And that becomes a high level of expectation. This continued to happen till the time my parents put their foot down. They came down to me and they said, Beta, we are scared of you. We don't know what to tell and what not to tell. Last month, I had an accident. I had, some kacha plaster on my foot, and I could not tell you because I didn't know how you would react. And that was a big blow to me. I was doing my role as a daughter, but was it really expected out of me? No, I created that role in my head. I thought that, yeah, these are the ingredients of that responsibility. And that's when we sat across the table and redefined the role. And what they expected was simple. You just ensure that you talk to us. We need our daughter to be available when we need to talk. Second was that financially and emotionally be available if we need anything, if we want to go for health checkup, if we need something, you are there as a provider. Rest we will take care of ourselves. And after that conversation, relationships automatically improved. I started feeling less guilty. I started feeling less burdened because earlier, all the time, I was just thinking about them and that burdened me so much. So, what do you understand from this story and what is your takeaway? Anybody? This was an example of my expectations from myself. So, what do you think about this? Okay, Padmini says communication is the key. Others?
They just don't assume the expectations. Make sure you get the. I mean, yeah, what Padmini said: communication, transparency.
Brilliant. Thank you, Jagan. I am assuming as a daughter or as a mother, I have this role. Now, mothers take up this role of, I want to take care of my child, right? Simple, good. But that role is taking care, which is input. What about the output? Even then, when you are taking the care, if your child gets sick, what happens? You feel guilty. I did not take care. Are, why so? There are 10,000 things that can happen in the world. But then, did you do what you were supposed to do? And even if you didn't do, even if you missed out a couple of them, what are we expecting? Will we be 100% there? We are not 100% anywhere. The expectation to be perfect from self is another derailer. And therefore, what I realized was that even if I'm late, even if, I'm busy, all of you, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I think I lost the sight of the Zoom, but okay. So if you can hear me. Uh, so what I realized was that even if my role, how I have defined it, how I have contracted with my parents that I will talk, there are times when I'm not able to talk. And then what do I do? When I'm not able to talk, I won't feel guilty. I'm like, "ठीक है यार, it's okay to make mistakes." So check yourself whether your role is affecting others' emotions positively or negatively. And this whole process of communication is called contracting. Yeah. Having a conversation around what are your expectations from me and what I expect from you. Is that even doable? Can I do this much? Can you do this much? So I know that all of you might have a lot of, because everyone has a different story. So I would also leave it open to people to ask me question right now. Do you have any question? What is your takeaway?
Here I would like to add one more thing. Because your parents know that you are in a position to understand if they come and say you that you are overreacting to our needs, or else you are expecting more yourself. But there are cases that the person who is getting affected will not be in a position to say that.
Correct?
Like husband, spouses, both the ways, the wife or the husband may not be in a position to contradict them and say that you are overreacting or over imposing me, like that. So how to get to that point?
Thank you so much. That's a brilliant question. Now, when it comes to parents, it's unconditional. You can say anything, you can still retract it, and the love will be intact. But with spouses, for a few initial years, especially, it becomes tough to manage expectations. And the thing that I have followed very diligently, and thanks to my husband, um, it's not about the language of you. You are overburdening yourself or me. You are expecting too much. Because what happens is in this contracting discussion, when you use the word you, see, there is a fear in both the parties. You're connected to them, right? Any relationship, when you're connecting, there is a fear. The fear of losing you, the fear of me not being important in your life, the fear of me being judged, right? And therefore, when you are having those discussions, language plays a big role. And I realized that even when my parents came to me, they talked about how they feel. It was never about how you make us feel or what you do, what it was not a blaming discussion. So the tonality in which you are having that conversation needs to start with an intent that, you know what, there is something that I have been concerned about. And my intent is that we talk it out so that long term we are happy, we are on the same page, like, you know, and then have this conversation that let's talk about, what are your expectations, and open yourself to their expectations as well. But if they say something which you know you will not be able to do, listen deeply. And there is a concept called deep listening as to what's the ideal need. So if the person is saying, no, you call me after every 1 hour, where are you? What's happening? Now, you can directly say, hey, that's not possible. I keep working and I'm busy. Sometimes I'm not able to call. But actually, what's the need? What's the deeper meaning of that conversation is that it could be my insecurity, it could be my fear of losing you. And if you're able to grasp that deeper meaning, you can do different things to ensure that the person feels secured in the relationship. So, two things. One is to answer your question, Raghavendra, the language that you use is more about your tonality, that it is the intent is to better up our relationship. The intent is to enjoy more our friendship. The intent is to deepen it. And therefore, let's sit together. It can't be a one-way conversation where I tell you what are my expectations from you, or you tell me what is it and I'll tell you what I can do and I cannot do. It has to be mutual. And try this out without using some words. And these words are, do not use the word you, do not use the word should, okay? And you will see the magic. Do not use the word but. I like when you call me, but everything goes for a triumph. So I like when you call me, and sometimes I'm busy, so I won't be able to take your call, but I promise that I'll give you a call back when I'm free. Yeah. So if you are able to work on your tonality, if you're able to work on the contracting and setting expectations, that's the first. And we're talking about my expectations with other people. So, okay, so far, taking a pause, any question? There are a lot of tips and tricks that we are using and learning. What is your favorite takeaway so far? Give me your favorite takeaway so far on the chat. So I know that you're listening and I also feel energized. Thank you, Pavan, for being on camera. Others, it just helps to see people nodding. So, yes. What's your favorite takeaway so far?
Contracting.
Contracting, okay. So, tonality and contracting, super. Don't over expect from yourself. Give yourself very powerful permissions that it's okay. Now, if I were to quickly browse through the nuances of what are the root causes of your expectations from yourself, the first one is childhood. You know, what your parents expected out of you, we feel that is it. I need to live by those expectations. At times, we also go other way around and saying, "Ye to main nahi karunga." So that could be a rebellious child, but then that is also an expectation. So that's where the expectation from yourself comes in. Say, for example, in your childhood, if your one of the siblings was extremely intelligent and was able to do a lot of stuff, then what were your expectations from yourself? Right? It could lower your expectations from yourself कि मैं तो कुछ कर ही नहीं सकता, forget it, or it could further high up कि मैं भी करूंगा, this is also what I should do. So childhood plays a big role, and you can write down anything that comes from your childhood that leads you to your expectations from yourself. Then another root cause is something called personal drivers, how you learned how to do things, and I'll talk about it a little later. Third is the fear of happiness. Have you heard about it? This is very interesting. Have you heard about fear of happiness? Can you think what it could be? You will be very surprised. And this, a lot of us, especially in our country, are victim of. When I coach people, I realize, oh, this is the fear they're talking about. What is it is that if we are born and brought up in a family where being satisfied or being happy meant that more sad times will come. Have you heard this whole phrase called "ज़्यादा हंसो मत, नहीं तो फिर रोना पड़ेगा"? Right? Now,
Yes.
this is the killer conditioning. How can you be satisfied? So even if you had 94.5%, बेटा अगली बारी 95 लेके आना. Now what? अच्छा ठीक है, ये हो गया, अब क्या? भाई खुश होने ही नहीं देना. There is no way you can appreciate your own child in front of people, because it will make them complacent. That was a big fear in a lot of our families, and they would not appreciate, they would not let us feel happy about our achievement. This is conditioning. I'm not saying they were wrong, but what I'm saying is, basis that, even today I see a lot of adults, and it could not only be from parents, it could be from the environment around or your own translation. But what happens is that because of that, you're not able to take a moment, take a deep breath, and be happy. The moment you feel happy, there is an associated feeling that is programmed in your mind. Oh, ये तो हो गया, अब next क्या? And then you are in that rat race, right? You now expect more. So I was talking to this guy who has been a topper throughout his life, okay? And then he was the CTO of an organization, a very well settled organization. He has done it, been there, and he came for coaching and he said, Bindu, yaar, ye to sab ho gaya, but I still feel that I could do so much better. I still feel my peers around me have done so much better. Comparison, Pavan, you're right. And why? Because there is an innate feeling of fear of happiness. So, see, just look, reflect, and say that, am I able to really enjoy? Do I have the joy inside me when I achieve something? Or do I fear happiness? Because if you fear happiness, what is the next step? You expect higher from yourself. You expect more from yourself because you don't want to be happy with what you have. तो वो expectations बढ़ते जाते हैं. Are you able to connect to this? Anyone, any question before I move?
Not a question, but just instinct, small that resonates with the concept. I had a mock test to finish and score at least 7 out of 10. When I did, it was a very tough test. But once I got 7 out of 10, my next question to myself is, what if I finish it in lesser time with better marks? In the first place, I was very worried that I would be able to finish the test and pass the test. But once I passed the test, I focused on timing and better marks instead of appreciating myself that I had finished the test.
That is a brilliant example, Kavisha. I think that is exactly what we're saying. That, you're chasing a goal, and when you achieve that goal, you're like, Arey, you already, and you created yourself because you are the victim of fear of happiness. It can come from anywhere. But uh, if that is the case, I'll tell you in the end of this session what are the ways in which you can deal with it. But at the same time, I think Avisha bang on. That is what we're talking about. Selena, I didn't get your question. What is right?
Yeah, hi Bindu.
Hi.
Good morning. Good morning to everyone. So, like you mentioned that example, right? Wherein, let's say if we are facing an exam, and then in the morning time, let's say we are cracking some jokes or something that sort of happens. Then yes, I have heard it multiple times from my parents. I mean, that was childhood, but now that we have grown up, probably it might have shifted into a different scenario, probably a different situation now. But is it the right thing to say? I mean, if I see kids, of this generation, I mean, they are like bindas people. They don't even care, right?
Selena, in fact, we have got a lot of wrong ideas about today's generation, and I'll tell you why. We had on Valentine's Day, right? Oh,
Mhm.
Valentine's Day, we had a conversation with Gen Zs and us. Okay,
Okay.
us means millennials, and a lot of things busted. So the theme was that we will ask you very tough questions. कि तुम लोग attitude क्यों देते हो? Gen Zs. And then they had the question कि तुम अभी भी Facebook पे क्यों हो? So we had a lot of good time, but Selena, what I realized was when we started answering,
Mhm.
both the sides developed that empathy. They said, Bindu, we don't give attitude. We don't know what to say. We have not learned it. And therefore,
Okay.
the best way to snuggle out of the situation is that we just, show that we know it all, or we are so they said we don't even know what to do with our hands if phone is not there. That was one of the comment. So maybe it's time to have direct conversation, Selena, and we will understand how they are feeling, what they are feeling, and
Mhm.
where are they coming from, because our brain is designed basis our life and our conditioning.
Correct. Correct.
So the idea is to open up ourselves and say that, yeah, you know what? I see you doing this. What's going in your mind? Say, for example, whenever I'm outside with, I'm on tours a lot of times. So, I used to talk to my daughter, and if I have somebody she knows, I would just directly give the phone to them, talk to Inayat. And then Inayat would be just, okay, bye. She won't even say hi. Okay, bye. So I got very worried. So I one day came back and I asked her that, why do you do that? And she says, Mama, I am missing you and I want to have talk with you. And that really pierced my heart. I'm like, oh no. And she says that I'm in that mood to talk to you, tell you things, and you are giving phones to different people I don't even connect with. So that was my learning, Selena. He
Okay.
not necessarily they are throwing attitude. There is
Mhm.
behind throwing attitude or any behavior, making light of the situation or whatever you, it's a way of distraction from the real topic. So having a conversation and really knowing what's beneath it helps.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, it does.
Awesome.
Thanks.
But thank you for asking. Okay, others. Any other question? Nikita says, I tend to have what next kind of approach to things in my personal life, and I think it stops me from being happy. Yeah. And even the realization of that next time, now after this program, whenever you attain any kind of little bit of milestone, okay, remember either my face or this session or yourself telling, and hey, you know what? I need to enjoy this milestone before I think what's next. That brings a lot of peace. That brings the real joy. Okay, so now let's move to, we talked about three things: childhood parenting conditioning, fear of happiness. And now let me also share with you a concept of internal drivers. Now, this is a abstract direct from a psychology subject called transactional analysis. Few of you might already know this, but for larger group, here are the 5 ways in which we have learned how to do things. Now, we have learned it from childhood, basis how our family was. Okay, what were the values in our family? So, let us do this. And after this explanation, I want all of you to think through and tell me what are the drivers that you think are driving you? How do you work? Okay, so if you're born and brought up with a family that is very success achievement oriented, very high profiles in your family, and the idealistic way of being right and doing things in the right way, then the result is that you must have gotten messaging from your elders saying, don't make a mistake, you don't take risk, do it methodologically, don't be natural, don't be childlike, do things perfectly. So when you wrote your first A like this, then they didn't say, oh, very nice, that is close to it. They said, hey, why is the mouth of the A open? Why is this not like this? You get it? All of you? Just some yeses, please. So I move ahead. Um, are you able to connect with this? Can I go in this speed?
Yes.
Okay. So that's where the driver that becomes for a child and for you, I mean, for all of us, is be perfect. There is no scope of error. I have to do this right in the right way, right? Then the next, if you're born and brought up in a family where the values were consideration, kindness, service, I belong to that kind of value system where every time kindness to other people was what I witnessed every time. So a lot of giving away was it. And therefore, the message at my home was that you don't be the leader, okay? You don't be assertive. How could you say no? How could you put your point of view across? How could you argue with an elder? Okay, and all of that. Don't be different, just follow the norms. And that's how, as a result, our basic nature, the driver, becomes please others, right? So others expectations from me become very important for me because I want to keep people happy. Are you able to connect with this?
Yes.
Now, the third way is families where courage, strength, reliability, all of these were very, very prominent. And there were stories of, how Falana Damkana was able to, bounce back and do so much, and how they showed their strength, how they took risks. So what is it? That don't show your feelings, don't give in, don't ask for help. How could you ask for help? You do it yourself. That's the courage. And then, these are the people. And then we become something called be strong. I will not show my emotions. I will not ask for help. And I will be myself the way I am. Fourth one, if you're born and brought up in a family with values of persistence, patience, determination, अरे इसने बहुत कुछ सहा लेकिन देखो कितना बड़ा बंदा बन गया ये आज. Those are the stories that, that those determination stories that you have heard. There, the messaging is, and तुम क्या कर रहे हो? तुम बैठे हुए हो, तुमने बस जरा सा कुछ कर लिया, and you are like, you are satisfied. You should not relax. Don't give up. Continue to do. Make those efforts, and you're not able to even sit for 5 minutes because these are the messaging that you get. And there is a guilt of even sitting idle. Even sitting and watching Netflix will make you very guilty that I'm wasting time. And that is something called a driver called try hard. Yeah, keep trying hard, keep trying hard, keep trying hard. That's all. You'll not be satisfied. The next one is speed, efficiency, responsiveness. And there it was like, अरे जल्दी जल्दी करो. What is it? अभी तुमने अगर सोचो, if the child is making A like this, tell me what's going in your mind. Here's the A. What's happening, guys? A बन रहा है. कैसा लग रहा है? If any one of you in your mind are saying, "Arey jaldi karo, time is off," then the question is, don't take too long. Don't waste time. And therefore, you will see some people always in a very hurry up mode. They want to do things fast. It's okay if the quality is bad, but this is also fine. Acha likh liya na, ab bhi likho. Because this is done. But if a be perfect parent or be perfect person sees this, they will not let you go to B till the time this is correct. So do you understand the approaches? Do you understand these styles?
Yep. Yep.
Now the question to all of you is, do you connect with these styles?
Bindu, I connect with all of them, and I think it was all a mix of everything what you have just put up 5 points.
And therefore, what is the takeaway from this then?
I think we should change, but I'm not sure how to go about doing it.
So, Selena, you're right. Change is definitely inevitably, if you think that in the current setup things are stopping you from being your best, then of course change is the way to go. But fear is that our brain really fears change. So the thing is that mix is not bad, okay? Or anything that is in heights. Say, for example, to my one of my coaches, there was a height of being perfect. And what I would do is, when we are drinking coffee, I would, you know, put the cup or place the saucer or something in a way that she's like not focusing on me, she's focusing on that cup ki ye सीधा कर दो यार, ये ना direction में नहीं है. And I would tell her that this is your challenge to not focus on that and focus on what is more important in that. So yes, it needs a lot of practice, rewiring, as you say, if it's not working for you. But remember, these drivers, since your childhood, has also worked for you. For example, for me, please others has worked for me because I'm able to be adaptable. I'm able to build my relationships. I'm able to connect with people. But at the same time, where it was not working for me was when I was not able to say no, when I was taking all the burden on myself and not let on the cost of my own mental and physical health. And that's where I said that, okay, here it's working, so I'm not going to change this. But here it's not working. And therefore, what can I do? So, Selena, if all of you can make that mental note or maybe write this exercise and say, okay, these are the pros. This is what is the advantage of me using these styles. And I'm not going to give it up. But definitely, these are the things that I want to implement. Then it makes sense. These are the things that I want to change because it's not working for me. So you're making a business case for your brain to change.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So if internal drivers is what, let me ask you one thing. Okay. Here's a very interesting exercise. If you read these things, these three statements, what comes to your mind? Here's a one quick technique for all of you. The technique is hidden in these statements. What is the catch? Do you think these are good goals or vision statements? Yes or no?
These are good ones, but I think somewhere, that person is getting stressed in that role.
Why?
For every particular goal, there is a particular reason, and it is not for his own.
Okay.
Like my father has spent money, or anyone else in the team is not working hard as I am.
Okay, that's a great catch. Yes. Any other catch?
So I should.
For the efforts expecting a positive result.
Haha. Very nice. Who was this?
Rahul.
Rahul. Super. Now, somebody else also wrote this in the, I think Pavan wrote this. Now, what's happening here is when we create our goals, and this is a very big lesson for our expectations from ourselves. When we are creating our goals, what's happening is with the goals, we're also expecting the output. But is the output in your hands completely? The
Mm,
input is in your hands. Right? I will ensure that my child eats the right food. I will ensure that I give my child enough time and lessons and stories. I can do all the inputs. But not necessarily the child falling sick is not in your hands. Your input can impact the outcome, but the outcome completely is not in your hands. And therefore, when you are setting a goal, then be very clear that you are making input driven goals to start with. Output will follow. वो बोलते हैं ना कि इनपुट देते जाओ, मेहनत करते जाओ, money will follow. Yeah, and that is why we're burdening ourselves. So he never falls ill. You are making a goal which is absolutely unattainable in this age and day and life. Do you agree? Because if he falls in by chance, you're going to blame yourself because it was your goal. So why to have such a goal? I should get nothing less than 90%. Is that in your hands? You don't know. Only what is in your hands in this case? That my inputs, I am going to give my best capacity. You can make goals on your inputs. I work harder than anyone else in the team, and the result will follow. Don't say I should get promotion, because promotion is not in your hands. It lies in so many other factors. Are you giving the right inputs? Is it clear? Never combine your vision and goals with expectations. Does that make sense, all of you? Okay, so then Um, there is something now. I know that we are reaching the end of the session. I have a lot to share with all of you, but then I know and I will respect your time. Sunday hai, final match hai aaj. So I'm not going to hold you too much on this session, but here are some things that will help you. Okay. The first one is that total acceptance of now, that this is happening right now, here and now. And in your story, whatever is getting built, there are only three roles that you can play. You can play the role of a hero, heroine, or you can play the role of a villain, or you can play the role of a victim. Now tell me, we took example of a mother and a son. If mother is not able to send lunch for 3 days and she plays a villain, what will she do? What will be her behavior? She will start scolding everybody around, saying, "Yaar, मैं ही हूँ क्या? मैं ही करती रहूंगी, तुम लोग करो. You are not doing your stuff." And she'll start blaming others and she'll start fighting with others. Now, what's happening inside? Her expectations from her own self has not gotten fulfilled. Then, if she has to play a victim, she's like, "अरे मैं कर ही नहीं पाई. I am so sorry. मेरे से ये हो गया." You are victim. You are victimizing yourself, getting into guilt trips. And if mother is the hero, she'd say, "अरे मेरे बच्चे strong है and I have a great support system. All of you, let's join hands. I need help." And she would ensure that, this has happened. Things are taken care of. Even if not, it's okay. It's okay. Sometimes I'm also a human being and sometimes I'm not able to do it, and it's okay. This full word of, being okay is what it needs to be soaked in. And therefore I'm skipping all the other slides. It's a very long program per se, but this is just a sneak peek, as I said. But here are some things that I would want to leave you with. Okay. The first one is, अगर कभी गलती हो भी जाए तो don't brood over it. Don't play the victim or the villain. Just take your learning कि अच्छा ये हो गया, next time say I need to have a support system for, in corporate language we say business continuity plan, yeah, risk management. So think about it, and next time I'm going to do this, and then letting go. Yeah. Second, spend your time on things that you can control or influence. And what can you control or influence? That's your inputs. Now, as they say in Gita, karam, right? Your karmas. You can only influence what you do. You cannot influence the outcome. I'm not going to repeat all of that again, but I know all of you are aware of it. The third one, which I also very religiously practice, is start giving very powerful permissions to yourself, which are, it's okay if I'm feeling this way. It's okay if to be vulnerable. It's okay to talk to trusted ones about how I'm feeling. It's okay to seek help. It's okay to take care of my emotional and physical needs. It's okay to rest. It's okay not to respond to every social media message. So, yeah, the keyword being, it's okay. The true sense of okayness, that it's okay to make a mistake. It's okay if things are not perfect. I'm a human being and it's okay if things are going that way. What I'm taking away is what's my learning out of it. So that's all that I had to share with all of you. And I'm here if you have any questions or any comments. How are you feeling about it? I'm not going to tell myself that it's okay if you don't have anything to say. My expectation is that you do tell me how how are you feeling about it. Anything, any question you have.
One thing, Bindu, Rahul this side again.
Yeah.
So the topic or the point where you said that okay, the stories of the parents or the older ones, they sometimes let the children think in other way. But I think most of the time they give a positive, you know, thing to the new ones in order to boost themselves up. So this is what I think for that particular point.
Can you repeat the question, Rahul?
Yeah, so the thing, it's not like a question to be sure, but I think a little bit in a different way, that the
Sure, sure.
stories of the parents, the encouraging stories or what they have achieved. So I think that they help the new ones or the childrens who are younger in the age to boost themselves up or go into the right direction.
Oh, absolutely, Rahul. We are not thinking differently here.
Okay.
Absolutely, it is important. See, every family having a value and
Mm-hmm.
inculcating. See, all the values that you saw are not bad,
Mm-hmm.
all good. We all need to imbibe certain values. The thing is that when we imbibe them, we also share with them that, hey, while these are the principles, at times you can't be 100% on it, and it's okay. Keep
Yes.
trying if you want. So, absolutely with you on that, Rahul. And that's why in the beginning we said that it's the balance that's important, because
Yes.
owing to values, you can't abandon your child saying कि यार तूने अच्छे से A नहीं बनाया. So saying that, let's try again and make it better. But and it's okay if थोड़ा सा खुला भी रह गया तो it's okay. But
Yeah.
that's where the balance comes into play. And I know
Yes.
it is tough. I know it is about, first rechecking your own values. But definitely it is important to breed our children or to, make them, nurture them using the values. But be aware that they don't get into this trap of unhappiness because they have
Yeah.
been able to achieve it. So there are
Right.
pros and there are cons for
Cons, yes.
each of those drivers. So just
Hmm.
ensure that you are reading up the cons and ensuring that your child or you are not getting into that trap
Agree.
and retain the advantages.
Yes.
So that I agree, and thank you for clarifying that, Rahul.
Okay. Have a nice day. Bye.
Yeah, you all also have a nice day. If you like the session, please do review us on Google. And also, if you're on LinkedIn, get connected. Every Friday, Astha from Newco Talent puts a very interesting article, rejig. And if you want these sessions to keep happening, please do come and join us in these forums. Was really, really nice meeting all of you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Indu. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do connect with us on LinkedIn, and we will be putting a post on LinkedIn. Share your experience in there. So many more join in going forward. Thank you. Have a great Sunday. Let India win. Bye bye.
Thanks, Bindu. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.